somebody, get somebody on, and we hope that you are all doing well. We're praying for you all as we are in the month of August. The summer is going by really quick. But again, we're so glad that you've joined us tonight as we continue in part two in myths of singlehood. Myths of singlehood. If you missed the first one, go back and watch the one from July. And we did five myths of singlehood, started off. And today we're going to conclude it and do the next five of the myths of singlehood. So again, if you missed the last one, you can go back on or whatever site you're watching on, go back and check the video out. And we hope that they are being a blessing to you. Now, we went through five last time. We talked about how marriage is not the ultimate goal. We talked about the scripture where it's better to marry than to burn. The third thing we talked about was test driving the car, guaranteeing success in a marriage. The fourth thing we talked about, living together will guarantee success. And number five, if you're not married, something is wrong with you. Now we're going to pick this up and jump on here, a little sensitive, but I hope some things may be a little sensitive, but I hope they will be a blessing to you. The sixth thing is marriage will fix loneliness. Marriage will fix loneliness. Here's the thing, companionship can help you, and companionship is good, but companionship is not the ultimate tool to fix loneliness. Loneliness, watch this, y'all, can be an internal issue that can't be fixed by external people. Depending on its source, loneliness can be an internal issue that can't be fixed by external people, which is the reason why you can be around a bunch of people, you can have significant people in your life, and you still feel lonely. The only example I can give is it's like a hole with no bottom. No matter how much you pour into that hole, you're still feeling lonely, or the person is still feeling not accepted. And they need this constant reassurance, this constant connection in order to feel something. And it almost becomes like a drug, because relationships don't fix loneliness when the issue is more internal than external. We all desire companionship in some way, shape, or form. But for some of us, that companionship has a deeper, more depth to it, where it's more about, this issue that I'm having, rather than a pure desire for companionship. And this is why, again, you can get into a relationship with somebody, still feel lonely, still not feel content, still feel like something's off. And you wonder if there's something wrong with the relationship. And there are times where it could be, but the question we got to often ask ourselves, is there something going on inside of me also? Because the reality is that loneliness at times can be more of an internal issue than an external one. The reality is we need God to fill the hole. People come to help, but God is the ultimate healer. We need to be healed of these holes, these fractures. If not, we'll continue to pursue and crave relationships and crave people, almost like, again, like a drug, where it makes you feel good in the moment, but you need another hit later on, because the reality is that God is the only one that can fix these holes. People cannot. We need healing. And watch this, y'all. Marriage is not the answer to heal what's wrong with us. Marriage is not the answer to heal what's wrong with us. I've been teaching singles for years and talked to some people and got to remind them, marriage is not the ultimate answer. Having somebody in your life is not the ultimate answer to fix what's wrong with you, because if anything, we're going to get into this soon, marriage makes you more of who you already are. It makes you more of who you already are. So number 6, marriage will fix loneliness. Number 7, marriage will make you happy. Oh boy, marriage will make you happy. Marriage can help with your happiness, but it's not the source of your happiness. Your happiness is between you and God. You and God. It's not towards other people. It's between you and God. People, it is not somebody's job to make you happy. It is your job and God's job to have that joy and that happiness. And people come to add to it. Why? Because people should not be your source. If your relationship is the main source of your joy and your happiness, when things go wrong, you go wrong. When things go wrong, you go wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. Unhappiness in a relationship or marriage can affect you, but it should not ruin you. Because why? I was happy before you came, happy with you. And because my happiness is within me, my happiness and my joy comes from God, not anybody else. Because if your happiness comes from other people, you've given them too much control. Again, they come to add to it. They are not the source of it. All right. You need it before a person, and let people come to add to how you feel about yourself, not be the source or the drive of how you feel about yourself, because marriage does not guarantee happiness, especially when it goes off the rails. So the reality is we don't go into marriage looking to fix our loneliness, fix our companionship issues, or to make us happy. We go into it for other reasons. So why do we go into marriage? Part of it's companionship. Part of it is a connection. Part of it is a variety of things. Part of it is, I don't want to see my life without this person. All those things contribute to it. But the individual is not God. I love my wife. We've been together since we were 16. God forbid, I want us to stay together for a long time. But she cannot be, and I cannot be for her, the source of full happiness and joy. We make each other happy. We bring each other joy, but we cannot be each other's source. Only God can do that. That's too much pressure on a human being. So, marriage won't fix loneliness. Marriage is not there to primarily make you happy. All right. And the next one, marriage. Watch this. The person will get better after marriage. If we just get married, this person will be better. If we just get married, this person will be more committed. If we just get married, everything's going to be cool. They're going to finally turn around. They're going to love me. They want to be committed to me and all that. It cannot do that. Bishop Anthony brought up something on Sunday in service, on the outdoor service. You missed it. You need to go back and watch it. How animals were forced into sacrifice and worship. And God doesn't want forced worship. He wants free will, chosen worship by his children. You can't, what am I trying to tell you? Forced commitment is not commitment. Forced commitment is not commitment. Forced commitment, required commitment changes nobody. It actually makes them resentful. So a baby is not going to change somebody. A ring isn't going to change somebody. Forced, demanded, ultimative type things is not going to change a person. Because again, marriage makes you more of who you already are. So if they were trifling before, they're going to be trifling after. If they were crazy before, they're going to be crazy after. If they were cheating on you before, they're going to be cheating on you after. Because why? After the excitement wanes and the real work kicks in, the real person is going to show up. Because why? Marriage will not make a person any better. Commitment has to be an internal choice. All right. The commitment to be a good person, to be in this, has to be an internal choice. And forced commitment changes nobody. All right. So the person will get better after marriage is a myth, because sometimes the person actually gets worse. How can I say this? The goal is not just to have somebody. The goal is not just to trap somebody. I finally got them and they're finally marrying me. And you feel like you won, when the reality is you haven't won a thing, because if I have to trap this person or make them be committed to me, I end up losing in the long run. Because why? You want the commitment to be the person's choice, not an ultimatum, not a forced thing. I'm trying to get off this point, not a forced thing. And if you feel like you have to win somebody or trap somebody over, it's just not the thing. You want the person's free will to choose. It's like this. I say it often. I'll use as an example of this commitment and not being forced. In a significant relationship, I should trust you enough to give you my passcodes to everything. But I also should trust you enough, or I should trust you enough where I don't have to go through your stuff. And why am I bringing it up? Because it's free will and choice to be committed. I don't have to worry about you outside of my presence. You know, I don't have to worry about you and while I'm at work and to make sure you're doing the right thing. And if you got to go through all of that, there's no point even being with the person, because you're going through all this headache of seeing what they're doing, checking on them. Are they behaving? So if the person can't be trusted outside of your presence, something's wrong with that. Because again, you cannot force a commitment. A person has to do it by their own free choice. If they choose not to, guess what? It's okay. But if the goal is just to get married, that's what you'll accept. The goal should not, let me just get married. The goal should be, let me be married, committed to somebody that loves me like loves me, committed to me like I'm committed to them. That's the goal. A happy, sustainable marriage. Not just having some people, they're content with just having somebody. That's not the goal, because just having somebody can actually make you feel more lonely after the fact. Let me move on. Because if it's not clicking right, loneliness in a relationship is much worse than loneliness outside of a relationship. Next thing, and we're almost done. The right person will solve my problems. The right person will solve my problems. I hear people say, if I just get married to the right person, everything will be work. Stuff will be worked out. I'll have this and I'll have this and whatever. The person is not, the individual is not God. Because the reality is, marriage with the right person, with the right individual, is difficult. With the right person is hard. You're navigating through this and learn the ups and downs and figuring stuff out and making mistakes. And, the right person is hard. So let's not think if I just get the right person, that fantasy here, that's what I'm talking about. That fantasy of marriage, that if I just, everything will be great once all this stuff comes and the right person comes. And we think up to the marriage and just the honeymoon and the good times, like you're frolicking in the field, this holding hands like this happy couple. We have a fantasy of what it's like rather than the reality of the existence of it. Because marriage to the right person can be difficult at certain times. Not all the time, but at certain times. An individual comes to add to you. Again, the person is not God. You in the marriage, watch this, because here's the other thing too about marriage, the right person will solve problems. You both are in a marriage, you have problems. That person has issues too. And now you have this combination of what's wrong with you and what's wrong with the other person living in the same house. And both of y'all are managing your own problems and helping to manage the other problems of the other person. You're fixing stuff in yourself, and you're also helping to fix what's wrong with somebody else. And within all of that, it's supposed to be love, joy, peace. Within all of that, marriage is a complex thing at times. But being married to the right person won't all of a sudden, it'll make your life better. It'll make your life great. I'm not saying that, but it's not the be all end all. That's all I'm trying to say. And we have to come to the marriage without this fantasy, cookie cutter, lifetime, whatever you want to call it, rom-com, where everything, that's not reality. Last thing and we're done. Number 10, everyone wants to be married. There's this myth that everybody wants to be married. You're single, you want to be married. That is not true. Some people choose singleness, and guess what? They're okay with it. And that's not everybody's calling. That's not everybody wants, but there are people out there that say, you know what? I'm content being single. I don't want to get married. It's cool. Doesn't mean something's wrong with them. It just means that that's just a lot they chose in life. And guess what? That's okay. Because again, we talked about it before. Marriage is not the ultimate goal. It's not the ultimate goal in life. It's a part of it, but it's not the ultimate goal. It's like how, I talk to some married people. There are some married people that don't want children. Guess what? That's their right. They just want to be married and not have kids. That's their right. Y'all being selfish. That's their priority. That's their right. That's what those two people together chose to do for themselves. And that's what fits them. And some people choose to be single. And guess what? It's okay. You are allowed to stay single if you choose. Paul even says that it could be a preferred office where you can devote your time to God, devote your time more to your life and all those things. And it doesn't mean that somebody choosing singleness is them being selfish. You have to know between you, God, what you want, what you desire, what's good for you and what's not good for you. Some people just want to be single. And guess what? That's okay. Hope you enjoyed this lesson today. We're so glad that you have joined us this evening. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night for Bible study as we continue on this series on enduring to hard times and enduring these challenging times as God uses them to form us and to shape us into the image of Jesus Christ. Again, we'll see you on tomorrow night Bible study. And of course, we'll be back with another Focus Singles Ministry in September. God bless you all. We'll see you later.